This is our weekly runecast for the week of October 26th. And we move out of Wunyo into Hagalaz on the 28th. And we also are moving from the first et into the second et. And that's a pretty big deal. I am enjoying doing the runecast as videos this way. I enjoy doing it, and it is way easier for me to do. The challenge, of course, is that it doesn't get sent out into email. And so I want to get some feedback from y'all about how that's working for you. If you need to get it through email, just let me know. That would be much appreciated. Okay. So we move into Hagalaz this week, and Hagalaz is not just moving into this rune that is an extremely abrupt change from the blissfulness of Wunyo that we've been in for the last 2.5 weeks. It's also a movement into the second et, which is everything, progressively speaking. We finished the first et sort of in this space of triumph, that we have really learned how souling in form works. We're good at it, and we have things to offer. We understand that when we connect with other beings, our agency does even better things for everybody. So closing on Gebo and Wunyo in the first et is huge. And of course, we move into Hagalaz, which is typically characterized as external change. It's huge, cataclysmic, nature event level change. And there's this sort of underlying awareness that we can't control it. I see people approach that like, well, there's nothing I can do. And yes, I mean that is what it means, but it doesn't mean that you didn't see it coming. It doesn't mean that you can't read the room, that you don't know what nature does in your ecosystem in particular seasons. And yes, the current experience of climate change has that all messed up. And the point of Hagalaz, at least from my perspective, seeding it into an animistic relationship with my ecosystem, is that I can know that nature happens. Like I can worry about that, or I can take comfort that nature's going to happen. And I have to be able to draw on all of the things about souling informed for myself and for my ecosystem that I learned in the first et, and apply them to how I deal with this abrupt shift into Hagalaz. The thing that I find catalyzing about moving from the first et to the second et, I call it the plot twist because largely, with the exception of our moment with Geba, this partnership that we learn that when we combine agency, even bigger outcomes happen, we really haven't had to deal with other people's agency in the first et. We've only been learning about our own. And so by the time we get into the second et, it's all about collision with other people's agency, their agency colliding with ours, getting smacked with the impact of their agency, them getting smacked with the impact of our agency, and us getting smacked with the impact of our agency. It's this glorious intersection of understanding the responsibility of being here. It's not just a playground offered up for our growth and soul evolution. There's deep responsibility in being here. And I think what that really says is the second et anchors us even deeper into form. It anchors us even deeper into the understanding that we don't get to split out the spiritual from the physical because they are not separate. I see this idea over and over that we're supposed to detach and we're supposed to let go of our relationships to form. And I understand that as long as it isn't in spite of form. We still have to acknowledge that we're in bodies that feel and behave certain ways, that other people exist and the way that they feel and behave and are treated is different. All of that really becomes poignant in the second et. And so I feel like it's really reintroducing us as this being who's moving along, and our job is to understand not just how it is for us, but how it is for other people with experiences that we're never going to have. We're deepening our experience of being in form in the second et, and it can seem kind of like a rough deal sometimes. So let's see what our framing rune is for Hagalaz. Okay. We have Laguz reversed. Laguz is a third et rune. It's a rune of the et that's saying, you know the deal now. You know, this is how it is. This is all of it. This is all that's going to happen. And you have to figure out if you're okay with dealing with that, and kind of living in this cyclic nature of learning, screwing up, bliss, learning, screwing up, bliss, all of that. Lagos itself is what I consider the rune of flow. People say that it's about water, and it is, but it doesn't have that modern projection. I don't even know where this came from. I just know that it isn't part of the original interpretation of this version of water, that it equals emotion, or even that it necessarily equals the feminine. I'm not sure about the feminine part, but the emotional applique onto anything that is water based is a very modern perspective. So, what I come back to when I sit with Laguz and water as animistic is movement, flow, the ability to keep things going. There's stasis no matter what. In terms of water, that is our base of life, we're talking about ocean. We're talking about always moving toward the greater pools of ocean. And that is often metaphorically internalized as movement toward home. Everything started with the ocean, emerged from the ocean, and ultimately is trying to find its way back to that. So, what does that feel like metaphorically? Like, what is home? What does home feel like for you? Is where you live home? How do you make home? Once you move out of your parents' house, or whoever has been your primary guardian, and you have to create that for yourself, what is that like? What does that feel like? The fact that Laguz is reversed suggests that maybe we are not aware of flow right now. I don't say I believe a lot of things. Belief is just not a motivator in my life. One of the things that I experience extremely deeply, and when I sit with it intellectually, I can go, I believe that. We cannot be out of flow. There's no such thing as being out of flow or being out of sacred order. What we have instead is a loss of awareness of order. We're not aware that there is order, and so we're not acting from an intentional place. A whole lot of commas could come after that. I don't know if they have bearing in this particular conversation, but feel free to raise them as that pokes buttons for you. When Laguz is reversed, I feel that's pointing at when we're not aware of flow. And maybe we need to come back to intentionality. We need to come back to what we really mean, or what we really need, or what we really have to give. And especially with regard to Hagalaz, how is awareness a factor in both of those things? Awareness of flow and awareness of change. Because Hagalaz kind of hints at this, your ecosystem is your ecosystem. It doesn't exactly radically spring things on you that you never saw coming. It's more like, how much have you been in touch with it lately? And the thing about Hagalaz is it's a cardinal rune. It can't be reversed. So you can't get out of that dynamic. Like, it's here. It is a facet of being human. And so you have to figure out how to deal with it. And I feel like Lagu's reverse is saying, come back to your awareness of flow. What facilitates you feeling in flow? What does that even mean to you? Is it oneness? Is it sacred order? Is there another wording that you would overwrite with that? And when you say that word, your nervous system responds. That's what you should go with. And that's what you should explore in terms of how you're in relationship with your ecosystem and what change is possible within it. When we look at this at a bigger collective level, like not just the ecosystem as in front yard, my region, I think we have to be prepared for change right now. We have to be prepared for whatever we can be prepared for. And of course, part of that is we don't know what to be prepared for. We're not in an ecosystem that has seasonal or even predictable outcomes. We want to look at a much bigger scale. We can say we see the writing on the wall. Whatever that means for you, come back to what is intentional living for you. That is what we're being asked to do in this runecast for this week. Notice also that all of the dead are back in the runecast, all of the bones, the teeth, the tiny wooden spoon that represents the ancestors. And I've also added in the stag button this week, which is how I represent the wild hunt in the runecast. So I started noticing a couple of days ago that we were starting to have the seasonal winds. That doesn't mean that they have started where you live, and that's okay. We have this perspective that because there's this indigenous European mapping of when the wild hunt happens, that it has to happen at the same time in North Carolina right now, and that is just not true. We are way behind in season in terms of how we're experiencing season. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you're feeling those winds yet, and that's okay. It may be that you've been feeling them for 2 weeks. Work with what your ecosystem is telling you. I don't feel like the wild hunt is here. That's not what I mean when I'm saying that. What I mean is, I want to begin honoring it now. I want to start giving it attention before it comes. And I feel like this is the helping spirit overlay for the dark time for the most part. And if you haven't walked through this in the runic cycle with me before, I'll talk about this progressively as we go through the dark time. One of the things that I feel is really important about the wild hunt, and this is super, super simplified, is to recognize it as a time where nature death walks, as a time where literally the winds of your space can blow out whatever is no longer needed, whatever has built up, whatever has outlived its use. You don't even have to necessarily name it, but be open to saying, I allow you to take this. This is the part where you start loading up your box of stuff that you're going to set on the curb for the wild hunt to take. Yes, the wild hunt does what it does without having any prompting from humans. That's not what I mean. But the more we can be involved, the more we can, on a conscious level, say, I don't need this, the more likely we will be to actually let go of it. And to have death walkers work passively on our behalf is a phenomenal thing that we should honor and celebrate and take advantage of by having our stuff ready when they show up. And again, that doesn't mean you jump in the procession and walk with the dead things who are sweeping up your stuff. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying have your stuff ready, set it gently by the curb, and back away. That's all you have to do. If you want to do ritual around that, I think it's fantastic for you to, but I don't think you have to, because it's going to happen regardless. The point of action is that you consciously engage with what you need to let go of. And that can also be collective systems, just to put that out there. The direction that we're working with this week is north, and north is the direction of what is ahead of us. So, north is a direction for me about taking charge, like being active. It's not a passive space, and it's encouraging us to think ahead. For me, it's also a direction of cold, of ice, air, and lineage. But I don't mean lineage as in who's gone before me, but who comes after me, my descendants, the descendants of us all. They are everything that is ahead of us, and they're the benefactors of every choice and decision that we make right now. And the good thing about North is it's also the direction of knowledge and wisdom, which means that we're not just winging it. Like we're not just in this row of energy from the north and we're just going with it. It has a space to hold us while we take a moment and reflect on the wisdom of lineage, of our own knowledge and experience, and we can draw on that for how we choose to go forward right now. The season that we're working with, I didn't even ask, if I'm honest. I didn't even put it out there as an intuitive thing. I put it down as autumn for us, and what's significant about that is all of the things that we need to be doing right now. And I think that's okay. Every now and then it doesn't necessarily have to be intuited. It's what is right in front of you. The thing about autumn that I enjoy is we set the pace that we need to. It's kind of this middle mode where we're celebrating harvest, we're celebrating the closing of all of our warm weather frolic, and we're also grieving that it's over. I'm not grieving it for a split second. It was so hot, I cannot even tell you. But the fact that the light is going, and that is huge for a lot of people. There's real distress in that light going away. Now is the time to start preparing for that. What's your emergency kit for keeping yourself propped up going to be? The movies, the books, the excellent snacks, the phone numbers, the do we do phone numbers? I don't even know. Whatever you need that helps you to feel fortified and able to regulate your nervous system as we head into whatever changes are ahead. That's what we're being asked to do in this autumn seasonality. I did not have a sense of an element this week, which is interesting. I had a sense of kind of fire and metal at the same time, which kind of historically has told me is electricity. And so I sat with that for a second and it was like, no, not really that. So I think it's okay for you to explore that openly, whatever element feels like it's fostering what you need or how you need this week, go for it. I keep forgetting to look at the morbid curiosity cards. I put them out because I think that they're really good prompts to help you think through aspects of death. And this one is, what is the most remarkable thing that you witnessed at a funeral? Maybe I'll do a little short video just for y'all and talk about that because that was extremely relevant for me. Yeah, that was a huge one for me a few years ago. The Galder that we're working with this week is Hagalaz, Hagal, Hail, and Lagus, Lagu. When you're working with a Galder, let it be what resonates for you. It doesn't have to come out the same way twice. It doesn't have to come out the way it is when you watch people on YouTube or me. It really needs to be what your body needs. This is about an elemental reaction between your breath, which is your ansus, right? Your internalized ond, and how it is connecting or making relationship with these runes to be the resonance that you need it to be in the moment. However it comes out, let it do it. Let it do its thing. This is how the Galder came together for me. Hagalagu, 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 Hagalagu. That's weird. Ooh, that's weird. And so many things came up. Okay. So I had an immediate transportation to the Bifrost Bridge, like at the Rainbow Bridge in the middle of it, not in the human Midgard department, not in the Aesir department. Um, Interesting. And I did feel that Heimdall was there. And, mm, it's kind of a tap on the shoulder to stay into the portal work, which is not, I don't know that it's portal work anymore because they're here. It is holding space for them to do what they need to do. And I've been drumming outdoors as often as possible as part of that, drawing them down and anchoring them here, the allies who are off planet, who can help us with all of the things that are happening systemically right now. Mm. Interesting. Maybe I need to go visit that bridge. Yes, I get a resounding yes from my body when I say that. I would love to learn how this Galder works for you, how this approach to the Runecast is working for you as well, and I hope that you are doing as well as can possibly be managed every day right now. Thank you.